Catsop found, to her slight surprise, that she was enjoying herself, even if she was sitting on the cold ground next to a runaway oxidation process. A genuine first contact scenario was unheard of. No one had found a new species in living memory. Yet, here she was, by herself, having unexpectedly stumbled over a planet full of sentience in a stellar system that the models said should be uninhabitable, or trying to find an answer to certain irregularities in the local star's radiation spectrum. She had found a lone local in an area of tall vegetation shortly before local starset, and, having read and unread the old and never before opened first contact regulations on file in her computer, had contacted the Terran, or human, as it had insisted on calling its species. The universal translator, once it had been calibrated and had collected enough words, made communication easy, and Catsop was learning so much she wondered if her mind could hold it all. "So, to summarize," Catsop said, as she tried to understand a new concept, "you're thinkers." The Terran, who insisted on being called Josh, interrupted her. "Are scientists, yes, or possible philosophers, but I think it was a scientist who came up with the idea." "Apologies, your scientists came up with the idea." "Hypothesis," the Josh interrupted again. "I think hypothesis is a better term." "Of course," Catsop said, as she tried to regain the trail of her thoughts. "Your scientists came up with the hypothesis that everyone is being very quiet." The Josh bobbed its head, as another log was placed on what the Terran insisted on calling a campfire. Catsop was unsure why a camp on fire was a good thing, but she had ignored it in her pursuit of seemingly more promising tracks. An oversimplification, but yes. Catsop wrinkled her whiskers as she tried to understand, glancing around what the Josh had referred to as our camp earlier. It was big for a single sentient, Catsop thought, but the locals might think differently. She returned to the track of thought she was pursuing. "Being very quiet in order to..." The Josh stared into the vegetable matter combusting. "Survive, first and foremost, I believe," the Josh said after a while. "If I understand correctly, the logic is that to radiate is to be seen is to be hunted is to be exterminated. Something like that." Catsop wriggled in momentary discomfort. The Josh had claimed to be a hunter when Catsop had first initiated contact, lack of fangs and claws notwithstanding. "A rather paranoid and pessimistic worldview," she ventured. "And even so, humanity carried on spraying EM radiation in all directions for a couple of 100 orbits of your planet thus far?" The Josh kept staring into the flickering flames. "Yes?" "Enough electromagnetic radiation that the nearest civilizations developed various cosmological theories explaining why Sol, as you call it, suddenly was such a noisy star." "Yes?" Catsop wrinkled her whiskers again. "Even if this would attract the attention of others who might, as you put it, see you and hunt you?" "Oh yes. We even used our strongest transmitters to send messages towards likely stars. Some even built stronger transmitters just to do that." Feeling her eyes drawn towards the oxidation process, Catsop shifted her legs, struggling slightly in the above-average gravity. "But why?" she asked. "If you believed other civilizations were a danger to you, why?" "Well," the Josh said, as he reached for the odd contraption, crafted from a long metal tube and what looked like hardened plant fibers, that he had carried when Catsop had revealed herself to him, and he had kept within reach since. Firstly, not everyone agreed with the idea, and secondly, some of us figured that someone might show up, or at least reply, and I think the idea of being alone was too much for humanity. Wriggling at sudden sounds from the shadows beyond the light from the oxidation process, Katsop cast an inquiring glance at the Josh. Someone might show up and fight you? We're good at fighting, the Josh said, as two other Terrans suddenly appeared in the circle of light. Say, that is an interesting little ship you arrived in. Superluminal, you said. Just how many people know that you're checking out our solar system? The light from the runaway oxidation process reflected off the Josh's eyes and teeth, as Katsop's wriggles grew more pronounced. I mean, he said, as he looked towards Katsop's shuttle just beyond the circle of light. No, officially.